Hello, and welcome to Missy's Imaginings. Today we're going to be reading The Lighthouse Mystery, Part 1. The Sunday school contest had been a great success. Many children had witnessed to friends and brought visitors to class. Jenny and Marty Billings had worked extra hard. At the end tally, they had pulled through with the win for the grand prize. They were so excited. They would actually get to spend time helping in a real lighthouse. Now, living in Maine, it was not unusual to see a lighthouse along the coastline, but working inside one, well, that would be a brand new experience. Their Sunday school teacher, Mr. Owens, had everything arranged. Tomorrow, after school, you two will meet your Uncle McKibbins at the lighthouse. The work will last most of the afternoon and into the early evening, so be sure to bring along some snacks. Wow, I'm so excited! Jenny could hardly control her enthusiasm. Mom told me how important a lighthouse is. I'm sure it's going to be fun to learn how it operates from the inside. Yeah, will we get to go up to the top where the light is? I bet you can see a lot from up there. Marty was excited too. I'm sure you will. Mr. McKibbins will be expecting you right after school tomorrow, so don't be late. The next day, the kids could hardly concentrate in school. When the last bell of the day finally rang, they were almost racing down the steps to head toward the lighthouse. As they ran around the corner onto the main street, Marty crashed headlong into Jeremy Rushworth. The older boy had often been to church too, but never really took an active part. He would spend time making fun of others. Marty didn't know him very well, since he was in a different class. Oh, I'm sorry, Jeremy. We're just in a hurry to get over to the lighthouse to help our Uncle McKibbins with some work today. Marty was nearly out of breath. We're pretty excited and we don't want to be late. Then you probably wouldn't want me to do this. And Jeremy stepped right in front of Marty, directly barring his way. No, you're right. Could you please let us by so we can go? Just then, another, more ominous figure stepped from around the corner of a building. Jenny took in her breath involuntarily. She recognized the young man at once. It was Rusty Collins. He was a couple years older than Jeremy and known around the neighborhood as, well, usually being up to no good. She took a step back. Well, well, well. Looks like we have little Billy and Bonnie Bible here on their way to the big grand prize. What do we think of that, Jeremy? I don't know that they really need to go to the lighthouse today. What do you think? Jenny was beginning to get nervous. She just wanted to go. Please, just let us by. We really need to leave. Maybe I will and maybe I won't, Rusty said with a raspy voice. All that church stuff seems kind of goofy to me, and I think that old man McKibbins is just playing off his rocker. Just then, an old rattle-trap pickup came rumbling down the street. Marty caught sight of it out of the corner of his eye and realized it was the very person they were on their way to meet. Taking a bold chance, he pushed past Jeremy and called out after his great-uncle. Jenny was totally relieved to see the old truck come to a stop and slowly back up towards them. She followed Marty's lead and headed toward the pickup as well. Yeah, you go ahead. Go play at your little lighthouse. The twins heard the mocking voices behind them. Once at the pickup, they had a chance to observe their new instructor. He was a small man and slightly hunched over at the shoulders. He had a short, grizzled beard and one eye that seemed to wander a bit. Even from the window, the truck smelled heavily of fish. Marty remembered stories his dad had told him about Uncle McKibbins. So, you're the two are helping me out this week, eh? Well, come along with you. Hop in the back. Wouldn't want to ruin good school clothes with the oily seats in here. No, wouldn't want to. Lots to do, lots to do. Someone's a-comin', lots to do. He seemed very preoccupied. Marty and Jenny were just glad to be out of the view of Jeremy and Rusty, and they gave each other a knowing glance as they thought, well, maybe this wouldn't be such a great grand prize after all. The truck bumped along the road for about a mile, but once they turned onto the small narrow lane that leads towards the lighthouse, the excitement began to build again. Marty and Jenny chatted happily about what would be in store. The truck came to a sudden stop in a large circular drive. There, at the far end of the gravel, stood the lighthouse. It seemed to reach up into the clouds. It was old, but in good repair. It had a swirled red stripe around it that went all the way to the light, so it looked like a part of a giant candy cane. After the twins jumped out of the pickup, they were able to get a better look at their host. Uncle McKibbins had a slow, steady shuffle and wispy gray hair that looked almost alive in the wind. His clothes, like the lighthouse, seemed ancient, but were perfectly mended. His boots were old, but extremely shiny. This was a person who took a great care with details. He loaded some supplies into a small wagon at the side of the driveway, then turned to his new apprentices. "Come along, then. We've got lots to do. You can just call me Uncle Matey. I've been here long years, and the name has kind of stuck. I'm not sure where the name came from, though. Still, who knows, who knows?" He seemed to drift off into a memory. After a quiet moment, Marty shuffled his foot, and the old fella snapped back. "Anyways, we have lots to do. Young Marty, was it? Ben's boy? Well, you, sir, will be in charge of washing the outside of the windows. Then you'll need to bring in a new load of fuel for the lamp. Jenny, you'll be in charge of washing the inside of the windows. And probably the lamp face as well. Then I'll also need you to take messages for me on the phone. The main reason for a lighthouse is that it stays lit. Let's go inside and I'll show you how this place operates." Uncle Matey led the way up the gravel path to the main door. From the outside, it seemed like any other door, but it opened into the most marvelous room the twins had ever seen. It was wide and round, and it seemed to be a whole house all in one large room. Along the rounded walls to their right was the neatest little kitchen. All the appliances formed a curve with the wall and seemed to wrap right around the dining area with a big, beautiful oak table. It looked almost too grand for everyday use. As their eyes swept to the left, they noticed that the room had 6 good-sized windows spaced equally apart. Later they were told that this afforded a complete view of the horizon. Directly in front of them was a large pillar that helped support the main structure. It had bookcases built all the way around it, and these were filled with not only books, but all kinds of nautical treasures. On the far left were 2 sectioned off areas. One was a bedroom and the other was the bathroom. Along the outside wall of the room was a set of stairs. It wound its way up to a 2nd story and beyond to the top of the tower. Looking up, the twins saw a loft that stretched almost the full circle of the ceiling. They could see parts of furniture that gave the appearance of an office. Their thoughts were confirmed when a telephone rang from above them. "Jenny, will you hop up there and answer that for me? Just take down the number and let them know I'll call back shortly. It's nice to have youngsters, here it is." Jenny was up the stairs in no time, taking the message. She called down, "Uncle Matey, sir. It was Mr. Swanson. He said he's on his way and he'll be here shortly." "Oh, good, good, good. That's good. Well, why don't you just tidy things up in the office there, and I'll let Marty get started down here." Well, Marty, oh my goodness, he launched into his work with zeal. He loved being up on the deck walkways outside the giant windows where he could see out over the ocean and across the harbor. The air felt cool and fresh. The hardest part of his job was running up and down all the stairs so he could change the cleaning water. But soon the windows were shining and crystal clear. Jenny had been hard at work inside as well. After getting the office all tidied up, she went to work on the inside of the windows. Though inside, she still had to use a step stool to reach the very top of the glass. Both were happily tired with stiff arms when they came back to the office. They were surprised to find that they were alone. There was only a note on the desk. She looked at the note and read, "Hello, hello, we'll be back in a few minutes. Walk down to the ledge with Mr. Swanson. We'll be back soon, Uncle Matey." The twins were just deciding what they should try to get done next when they heard voices from downstairs. Heading in that direction, they looked down to see a very dignified older gentleman speaking with Uncle Matey. He wore a very trim dark gray suit and carried a zipper planner under his arm. "Very good," the man exclaimed. "It sounds like you have everything in order. The ship will be here on Friday, and I'm most anxious for all to go well. It could mean a great deal of business for the town if the harbor can secure this account. We could provide an excellent halfway point for our client. I'm also working on updating our fueling stations." "We'll have the place shipshape as usual, sir. I also have some new help this week. Ah, here they are." "This is Marty and his sister Jenny. They'll be helping me this week, and I think I'm also going to have Marty help with some painting. Kids, this is Mr. Swanson, our harbor master. He has some new clients coming in to check out our harbor on Friday, and we must be ready, ready, ready." "Splendid, splendid. Hello, I'm glad to see your uncle has you two helpers this week. Lots going on, and everything needs to be running smoothly." With that, Mr. Swanson said goodbye and drove back into town. "Well now, is all your work done already?" "Well, not yet, sir. I still need to know about bringing in fuel for the lamp," Marty answered. "Oh, very good. Come with me. Come with me. And Jenny, you can watch the phone for me." Uncle Matey turned and headed towards a shed that stood a little to the left and behind the lighthouse. "In here is where I keep the extra fuel for our lamp. This place is very old-fashioned. It's like me. Our lamp is not electric, but it burns oil. That's why we need to keep the windows and the lamp face extra clean. Burning oil builds up a film on the glass, so we need to keep it very clean to make sure it's nice and shiny. Here we go." He opened up the door and led to a row of shelves along the wall. He gave Marty 2 gallons and took 2 himself. "This will get through the night and also a good deal of the morning. We must keep the lamp lit." When they got back to the office, Uncle Matey told Marty to run the fuel upstairs. Then he said he was going on an errand and he would be back soon. While he was gone, Marty could do some of the yard work outside, and Jenny was to man the office. Jenny listened as the hum of the weed eater filled the air. She had cleaned the office and opened windows to let in the fresh breeze. After a while, Marty came in to have a snack. He had been so busy he hadn't thought of eating, but now realized he was very hungry indeed. While the two sat chewing away together, they became aware of how quiet it was. There was no sound of people or of traffic. The light was just beginning to fade across the horizon. The sea looked dark and mysterious. It started to feel a little creepy being alone there. "Don't worry, Jen. Uncle Matey will be back in a jiffy, I'm sure. Isn't he exactly as Dad described him in all those old stories? He just about jumped out of his skin when the phone rang." Jenny recovered herself and quickly answered. After hanging up, she wrote down the message. Mr. Swanson had called to let Uncle Matey know that there would be 2 more ships coming in on Friday, besides their original client. The kids had just about settled back down to eat when the phone rang a second time. This time it was the weather report. There were warnings going out about a possible storm that would hit on Thursday or Friday. The lamp must be kept burning. That was imperative. She diligently took all the information and left it on the corner of the desk. "Wow, that was scary. Those phone calls were twice as loud now that it's quiet." Marty chuckled at himself. "Sis, you should have seen yourself jump." "Me? You mean yourself, don't you? Wasn't it you who almost spilled your soda?" Jenny joined in the joke, and laughing seemed to take the edge off the stillness. Just then, crash! But this time, it was not a phone call. They both nearly jumped off their chairs. There was a crash upstairs. Marty and Jenny raced up level after level until they reached the top landing around the lamp. One of the windows had a big spiderweb crack all the way at the bottom. Their eyes followed the spiderweb crack and hole from the bottom corner up to the lamp. It was out! What had happened? What crashed through the window? How can they get the lamp burning again? And what will Uncle Matey say? Be sure to tune in next time for part 2 of the Lighthouse Mystery. Thank you for coming to my channel today. I've enjoyed reading the Lighthouse Mystery Part 1. If you like this story, and it seems like something that you would like to use in your own vacation Bible school, junior church, Bible club, or summer camp, my CD is available to purchase at my website, missiesimaginings.com, which I'll post here, and I'll also put a link in the description box. On the CD, you will find the complete text for all 4 chapters of the story, plus an outline for each day that you want to tell the story. All the images are available in full color to print out or in black and white, so that you can save a lot of money on printing costs. They're free for you to print out as many times as you like, so if you spill some orange juice on one, or a student happens to get really excited with one and oops, he lost an arm, you can print them out over and over again. So if you'd like to invest in that, that'd be something that you could use in your classes. At the end, you'll also find a pattern for an Uncle Matey paper bag puppet that's fun for students to color and cut out and put together, so they have something to remember the story of the Lighthouse Mystery. So thanks for coming by today, and I hope you'll come back again. Bye-bye.